Hello everyone and welcome back to day 4 of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour finals. It is Arjun Erigaisi versus Shakhriyar Mamedyarov, and this is their 4th game, which is also very important because Arjun is leading the match. Here he got his first win, and he got his win in the second game. Game 1 and 3 ended in a draw, so Mamedyarov needs a win to bounce back and force tie breaks. Now, as soon as I saw the final position of this game, I knew I was going to show it on the channel. Because it's absolutely spectacular. I knew it was gonna make a wonderful pause the video moment, so hope you guys enjoy it as well. Now let's dive straight into it. Arjun has the white pieces and he opens with e4. Mamedyarov goes for g6, the so-called modern defense or the Robatsch defense, d4, bishop to g7, knight to f3, and now pawn to d6. So might be having some ideas of maybe knight to d7 or knight to c6, and then at some point later on striking against white center with pawn to e5, bishop to c4, knight to f6, and now queen to e2. We have knight to c6 and now pawn to h3. So nothing new here for the moment. Finally, pawn to e5 and d captures on e5. We have d captures, and there is one game where c3 was played, but here Arjun just castles kingside, and it is now as of move 8 that we have a completely new game. Mamedyarov also castles, rook to d1, attacking Mamedyarov's queen on d8 and queen to e7. We have knight to c3 now with ideas of bringing the knight to d5, pawn to h6, and now knight to d5 right away. Now that's a too strong a steed to just leave it there on d5, so knight captures, and here bishop captures on d5 was played. I guess a case could be made for either captures. Rook captures not so much, as bishop to e6 will be annoying, but yeah, depends on how you want to play this game. You could capture with the bishop or with the pawn. In the game, Arjun played bishop captures on d5 and now knight to d4. Mamedyarov also forces a trade as the queen on e2 is attacked, so knight captures. We have e captures on d4. The bishop nicely defends that pawn, and the bishop to f4. Arjun's bishops are developed very nicely, and now rook to e8. Here with the ideas of maybe c6, you chase away the bishop and then you pick up the e4 pawn, but picking up the e4 pawn is not as easy as you would think, as long as this bishop controls this diagonal. So here we have pawn to e5. Which is very, very interesting. You might consider also something like rook to e1 if you just were worried about this, but this is also very nice. Pawn to e5, and now if you capture on e5, which you can, the problem is after bishop captures on e5, rook to e1, you don't have f6 because the bishop controls this diagonal. You would have to trade here, bishop to f6, captures, and after captures and captures, white would finish by capturing the c7 pawn. And yes, the material is equal. Both players have a rook and the bishop pair and 6 pawns, but white has 2 pawn islands, black has 3 pawn islands, and it will be much harder for black to defend his pawns. With perfect play, probably a draw, but it will be much harder to play with black. So instead, after e5, we have c6, chasing away the bishop, bishop to b3, and now pawn to c5. We have queen to d2, now going after the h6 pawn, and pawn to g5, bishop to g3, and now bishop to e6. Now, once the bishop is eliminated, probably Mamedyarov will be able to capture on e5. Bishop captures on e6, queen captures, and now pawn to f4. First eliminating the g5 pawn, which is in Arjun's way of going after the h6 pawn, and also for the moment defending the e5 pawn. So if Shakhriyar wants to go through, he will have to capture on f4, which he does. G captures on f4, bishop captures, and now queen to g6. This is a very interesting move because capturing on e5 was also interesting. I will just show what happens if bishop captures on e5. Now rook to e1 isn't all that impressive because you can play bishop captures on f4 and attack the white queen, but white can ignore you and just capture the bishop. However, now comes rook, queen captures rook on e1, rook captures, and rook captures on e1 with check, king h2, and now let's say rook to e6 guarding the h6 pawn, and you would get this position where Shakhriyar would have 2 rooks for a queen. He would also be up a pawn, and if anyone is to be preferred here, it is definitely black. So instead, after bishop captures on f4, he goes for queen to g6 because this is not forced. If bishop captures, you don't have to play rook to e1. I mean, you can just capture, bishop captures, queen captures on h6, and now queen g7. Let's say you trade queens, and now it's equal material, equal endgame. Probably a very quick draw. So instead, queen to g6, that's why Mamedyarov didn't do it. Rook to f1, and now bishop captures on e5, finally grabbing that pawn. Bishop captures on h6, rook to e6, attacking the bishop, and the bishop back to f4. We have rook a to e8, Mamedyarov doubles up on the e file, and rook to f3, preparing rook to g3 to win the black queen. So bishop to g7, closing off the g file, rook to g3, and queen to h7. Still keeping an eye on that c2 pawn. Shakhriyar really wants to play rook to e2 and grab the c2 pawn, so he creates a passed d pawn, and of course he wants to push it all the way. So rook to f1 by Arjun, rook to e2 attacking the queen, and remarkable as this position is, you'd think black is completely crashing through here. White is just better here. Look at this, queen to a5, and there's a very specific reason why white is better, but unfortunately for Arjun, he didn't realize it. Even though they were both really well on the clock, they had some like 5 or 6 minutes on the clock each. And here, rook captures on c2. Mamedyarov grabs the pawn, and he's now completely lost. But it's not clear why. And if it was clear, of course, Arjun would play it. It's not at all clear. So feel free to pause the video and win the game for Arjun while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting any of the winning moves like queen to c7 or rook to e1, but there is one that makes black resign instantly, and that of course is bishop to e5. So if you found this, then truly congratulations, you are a master of spotting incredibly difficult moves to spot, because now black can just resign. There is no move black can make here. You are either facing rook captures on g7 and you're going to lose your queen, or if you don't like that, you can play something like, let's say, rook captures on e5, and then just queen to d8 with check, rook to e8, and queen captures with checkmate. So there is no good way to deal with bishop to e5. Even if you ignore it, even if you play something like rook to c8, even bishop captures on g7 is enough. And now, if queen captures, you can even go for this very nice queen to e1 move. You don't have to capture, or you could just capture rook captures on g7, king captures, and queen to e1, and you have a queen and rook for 2 rooks. So of course, completely winning. Unfortunately, Arjun doesn't find this, which is really funny for a very specific reason that I will not mention, so I don't spoil anything for you. But here, Arjun played queen captures on a7 instead. King to h8, Shakhriyar realizes that that bishop should definitely be able to move. Queen captures on b7, and now pawn to d3. He starts advancing his passed pawn. King to h2, and now bishop to d4. A weird move. I have no idea why Shakhriyar played it, and it really makes no sense. Probably there is a reason why he played it. Like I said, they both had enough time. It's not like they had a few seconds on the clock, and that's why he played bishop to d4. I just can't figure out why play bishop to d4. It doesn't seem like it's doing all that much, but okay, he probably had something in mind. But Arjun played queen to c6, and now rook c to e2, and now the position is again completely winning for Arjun, but it's not winning like you'd expect in the previous pause the video moment. There it was just like, wow, what a move. Here it's actually a forced checkmate in 3, but again, you have to really look hard to find it. So feel free to pause the video for the second time and try to find your way out of this mess while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that it is again bishop to e5. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, yes, bishop to e5 check. This is what Arjun now played, and there really isn't anything you can do here. Bishop captures because, well, and of course it was in this position on move 33 that Shakhriyar Mamedyarov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. A problem is that if you capture with the bishop, then the rooks are no longer connected. Basically, by playing bishop to e5, you disconnect the 2 rooks. The 2 rooks are no longer protecting each other, so the real threat is queen captures on e8. And if you capture with the bishop, that threat still remains. Queen captures, queen to g8, queen captures on g8 will be checkmate. If you don't capture with the bishop, if you capture with the rook, then the bishop no longer guards the f6 square. So now queen f6 check again ends in checkmate, and if the other rook captures, doesn't really make all that much difference because the bishop still can't reach the f6 square. Queen f6 check, queen g7, and now queen captures on g7 will be checkmate. And other than that, after bishop to e5, you really have no options. Your only other option is to play pawn to f6, which again leads to queen captures on g8, and the exact same checkmate. Queen to g8, queen captures on g8, and this will be checkmate. So incredible stuff. It'd be way cooler if Arjun spotted it the first time, but he was never really in any trouble. His position was always better, and he was able to find now bishop to e5, which is also nothing short of spectacular. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Arjun wins the second game against Shakhriyar Mamedyarov with 2 wins, 2 draws. He wins his first match, and these are now the standings after 4 rounds. You can see that Magnus in first place with 12 points, and Jan-Krzysztof Duda was unable to follow Magnus. He lost to Liem, who is third with 7 points, Wesley So with 6 points, Anish Giri and Praggnanandhaa with 4 points, and Arjun Erigaisi and Shakhriyar Mamedyarov in 7th and 8th place with 3 points. So now the clash between Magnus and Duda, which is coming up next, I believe, will be even more interesting as Duda needs to beat Magnus to bounce back if he wants to retain, catch up to Magnus and try and get a lead in the tournament. So yeah, once again, really hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Ravish and Grabtiles YouTube, Harry Barton, Mariusz Klimek, Francis Sayre, and Carmen Polifronio for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this wonderful event until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And once again, big congratulations to everyone who found bishop to e5. It's a spectacular move. See you soon.